Hi friends! Today let's put Claude Frollo from the Hunchback of Notre Dame into the spotlight. Judge Claude Frollo is still seen as one of the most evil Disney villains ever created. He shows no compassion or empathy, and though he is a religious man, he shows no respect towards the church. We see him attack the archdeacon.
Frollo, have you gone mad? I will not tolerate this assault on the house of God.
Silence, you old fool. The Hunchback and I have unfinished business to attend to.
He tries to arrest Esmeralda, though she has pleaded sanctuary. He gets a bit rapey in the cathedral, and shows at least 3 of the 7 deadly sins. Lust,
This burning desire is turning me to sin.
wrath,
What are we going to do about it, sir?
and pride.
You know I am a righteous man. Of my virtue I am justly proud.
He also has a vendetta against gypsies and murders them with no second thought. This, along with his love of torture, show that he isn't a decent guy. At all. Let's take a look at what he does in a bit more detail. Right off the bat, we see his disdain for gypsies.
Judge Claude Frollo longed to purge the world of vice and sin.
Frollo chases a gypsy because he believes that she is carrying stolen goods. He doesn't react at all when he kills her, and upon realizing that it wasn't stolen goods but a deformed baby, he decides he wants to kill the baby too. The archdeacon sees this and stops him and forces Frollo to keep the child.
Care for the child and raise it as your own.
What? I am to be saddled with this misshapen...
Frollo agrees as long as he doesn't have to keep the child physically with him, and decides to leave him in one of the bell towers of the cathedral. He does visit the child, however, and even names him Quasimodo, which does mean half-formed. During his visits to Quasimodo, he does teach him a few things, including a very dark version of the alphabet.
Very well. A,
Abomination.
B,
Blasphemy.
C,
Contrition.
D,
Damnation.
E.
Eternal damnation.
Frollo openly tortures his ex-captain of the guard and imprisons gypsies. He sees this as his duty and does it without any thought. When he meets Esmeralda, he is enthralled. He orders his men to capture her and tries to break the rule of sanctuary.
I'm waiting, Captain.
I'm sorry, sir. She claimed sanctuary. There's nothing I can do.
Then drag her outside and...
Frollo, you will not touch her.
Frollo also gets very physical with Esmeralda in the cathedral, but doesn't go beyond just smelling her hair.
What are you doing?
I was just imagining a rope around that beautiful neck.
Which is still very, very rapey. Upon learning that Esmeralda has escaped the cathedral, Frollo gives the order to find her at any cost, even having to burn down all of Paris. We see Frollo try and kill an innocent family because he believes they know where Esmeralda is. When his new captain of the guard, Phoebus, tries to stop him, Frollo orders him dead. Phoebus narrowly escapes with his life thanks to Esmeralda. She brings him to Notre Dame for safety, and it's very obvious at this point that the two of them are in love. Esmeralda then leaves the cathedral to go to the Court of Miracles. When Frollo learns that she has once again escaped him, he bluffs to Quasimodo that he knows where she's gone. Phoebus and Quasimodo decide that they have to warn her and the rest of the gypsies that Frollo is coming, so they head to the Court of Miracles. Frollo follows them, and once he gets there, he captures Esmeralda and the rest of the gypsies. While preparing her pyre, Frollo gives Esmeralda an ultimatum. Either she chooses him, or she will burn. Esmeralda refuses, so Frollo lights the fire. At this point, Quasimodo swoops in and saves Esmeralda. He brings her to the top of Notre Dame for safety. Frollo, angered by this, follows them, and at the top of the cathedral, him and Quasimodo fight, as down below in the square, the guards and the gypsies fight amongst the flames.
Look! Up there!
Hang on!
Frollo finds himself hanging from a gargoyle, and he begs for Quasimodo to help him. Before anybody has time to react, the gargoyle breaks off from the main building, and it and Frollo fall down into the flames below. As many know, The Hunchback of Notre Dame is based off of Victor Hugo's book Notre Dame De Paris. Like most of Hugo's work, Notre Dame de Paris is very, very dark, and this includes the character of Claude Frollo. Well, that's not quite true. At first, Claude Frollo is very different from the judge that we see in the Disney movie. The first big difference is that he isn't a judge, but a priest who becomes archdeacon later on. He's a very compassionate man. He rescues a baby he finds in the foundlings' bed of the church and names him Quasimodo, not to call him half-formed, but after the holiday he found him on, Quasimodo Sunday. When Quasimodo goes deaf from ringing the bells, Frollo decides to teach him a form of sign language so that he can still communicate with other people. That sounds very different from what the Frollo in the animation teaches Quasimodo, don't you think?
Remember what I've taught you, Quasimodo. You are deformed.
I am deformed.
And you are ugly.
And I am ugly.
And these are crimes for which the world shows little pity.
However, in the book, young Frollo is terrified of women. In fact, he's never seen in the company of a woman. That is, until he meets Esmeralda. He immediately falls into lust with her, and decides he must have her at any cost. He orders Quasimodo to kidnap her, and then abandons him when Quasimodo gets arrested. When Esmeralda escapes Frollo, she meets Captain Phoebus and immediately falls in love with him. Frollo follows them back to Phoebus's house and watches as they... well, you know, before anything can happen, Frollo stabs Phoebus in the back. Esmeralda faints, and Frollo decides to kiss her before running away. Later, we learn that Quasimodo is also in love with Esmeralda, and he saves her from the gallows and brings her back to Notre Dame for safety. Within the cathedral, Frollo obviously finds her and tries to rape her. Esmeralda escapes before anything can happen, but Frollo kidnaps her again and gives her an ultimatum. Either she marries him, or he will turn her into the guards. Esmeralda refuses, so Frollo keeps his words and turns her in. A few days later, Frollo and Quasimodo watch Esmeralda's execution from the top of Notre Dame. When Esmeralda is hanged, Frollo starts laughing hysterically, as he believes that she deserved this for being a tempting witch and for refusing him. Quasimodo, who was in love with her, is angered by this and pushes Frollo off of the balustrade. Frollo catches himself on a gargoyle and reaches up to his adopted son and begs him for help. Quasimodo doesn't answer and watches as Frollo loses his grip, falls off from the cathedral, onto the roof of a house, slides down the roof, and then splats into the square, dead. Animation Frollo seems a lot less horrible now, doesn't he?
You are good to me, Master. I'm sorry.
You are forgiven.
What changes would you have made to Frollo's character had you been in charge of the Disney movie? Would you have made him more evil? Less evil? Would you have kept the story arc of him starting off as good and then becoming evil? Please tell me in the comment section down below. Also, please make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and I hope you consider subscribing so you don't miss any future videos. Until next time, happy bubbles!